let's explore our patient's journey, the emotions, the impact, the story as they go throughout this process of treatment with the Austin Pain Services. So while each patient is going to be unique, we'll look at an average journey for an average user and how those experiences might vary across our main personas. So the journey sadly starts with an incident or an injury that causes the permanent pain. And it's important to not just look at the patient themselves, but their carers, their family, their parents, the people who will be helping them throughout that process and maybe taking care of them, taking them to or from doctor's appointments, from that initial visit with the GP, about finding out that initial diagnosis, any additional complications, specialists, or surgeries that may be required at that stage in the process. Now, depending on the diagnosis, there will be months of bouncing back and forth between doctors and specialists, resulting in, just across all of our personas, that sense of loss and confusion, a bit of hopelessness. At some point, they'll get the referral to the Austin Pain Service, and across some of our personas, we've got our Sashas and our Parkers and our Frankies. This is going to start feeling that little first spark of hope, that there is someone out there is something that can actually help them. At the same time, more on the skeptical side, we've got our Dannys and our Alexes that aren't really too sure what's coming, what's going. And that brings us to our first kind of friction point. They had that referral, and now they get something in the post of a questionnaire they have to fill out. Now, for some of our personas, that's simple. For others, like Sam, it's a bit overwhelming. Frankie as well, with everything she's got on her plate, this does seem a bit arduous and repetitive. The next major friction point is the waiting period. So they're told between 4 to 6 months without full or clear understanding of why or what or exactly how this waiting process is processed. That's where some of the fear and anxiety can start creeping in for some of our team, while others are a bit more used to waiting periods. It's a regular and expected experience in the medical treatment space. Poor Alex on his end, he's not quite happy with a 6-month wait just to get started. So after the waiting period, we move into the triage step, and that's back with the Austin team. They go through and they are able to direct patients where they best need. So to some, they'll have to go to a specialist first for mental health plans or opioid action plans. And for our persona, Danny here is one such patient with severe anxiety. She's finally getting that help before she can move on into step in or into the other treatment, and she's extremely grateful of having an action plan to get that started. The step-in program itself is a great experience for many people, not for everyone, but for those who respond well to group and to education pieces, like our Sashas, our Parker, who looks great and wants to work with others. Very interesting, and that sense of camaraderie is extremely important. On the other hand, we have people like Alex who came here looking for direct, specific treatment, and he doesn't feel like this has met his expectations, and it didn't treat his pain and his problems, and he feels very entitled and very unique. At the same time, we have our Frankies, and there's a bit of a different perspective. She's busy. She feels 10 hours to be in person is a bit much to ask for an education piece she feels she could have done online. And don't forget poor Sam. Probably slept through most of it. Alright, so we got the homework piece. So after step-in, they got some stuff to take home. This is finally where the carers and parents can feel like they actually get an understanding of what the patients are going through, and they get a bit more information into what everything is actually happening. Frankie's a bit happier here, something she can do at her own pace, something she can do in her own time, given all the resources. But poor Sam, this is a major friction point for him here. He's off on his own, and he doesn't know what's coming, what's going, and it's very easy for him to just get lost in his own world. And Alex here, this is quite an easy checkout point for him. He was expecting the professionals to fix him. He doesn't want to put in that work himself as much, and he's a bit less satisfied at that stage. So we got another waiting period of about a month before the patients are able to request an assessment for further care. And from what we've found across all of our interviews and all of our personas, this part is great for anyone who gets to this stage. Multidisciplinary care, hydrotherapy, group therapy for those who are willing and able. It's been all-around positive feedback at this point. Once they've completed their treatments, there's the discharge and the eventual post-service survey. And again, the feedback at this stage is quite positive. The last minor friction point is the aftercare. So while everything's been great and they've gotten some tools and they've learned some things and they've met some great people, we did get a sense from some of the people we spoke to that after everything was done, they did get that little bit of a feeling of what now? Where do I go from here? I've got these great tools and I've met some people, but what's that next step? So that's the patient's journey.